And we have a lot of people that want to see certain fights happen. So let's get right into it, guys.
Daniel Dubois went into this fight on a mission, like he said.
Berlanga actually showed some wrinkles, even though I think Canelo, he dominated the whole entire fight.
This is Raina Roan with your KO Fightcast.
You learn it from YouTube. Somebody gonna break your jaw while you trying to throw the uppercut on the left hook.
Welcome to Knockouts Unlimited. I'm your host, Joshua Burns.
I'm your host, D.R. Bryant.
And I'm your host, Jose Romero.
And we have some interesting fights to discuss with you guys today. Some very, very exciting talent, very exciting fights. And we have a lot of people that want to see certain fights happen. So let's get right into it, guys. So we're talking about the Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois fight. What's your take on that?
I think Dubois came in with a mission to dominate, and it looked like that from the opening bell until I believe it was the 5th round when Joshua was on the canvas. I believe Dubois felt like he was getting a little bit disrespected leading up to the fight from Anthony Joshua. You could tell from the rollout, from the interviews that they had, Anthony Joshua was kind of like on some, hey, you know, you're a little brother type. Like, hey, it's not your time yet. This is the big dog. This is a new stage for you. And Dubois took that very personally, as Michael Jordan would say.
You're right, but it seems like Anthony Joshua does that to everyone. He tries to intimidate them. So what is your take on it?
Well, my take is the same as DR's. You know, Daniel Dubois went into this fight on a mission, like he said. He definitely showed the world what he's about, which he has done in the past, but nobody has given him his respect. You know, like his fight with Usyk, that nobody gave him his respect in that fight. You know, hitting him in the liver, and still they didn't count that shot. But, you know, we saw that. The ref didn't see that, but we saw that. I already knew that this was going to be a tough fight for AJ. I didn't expect it to be that bad of a fight, but, I mean, I did expect Daniel to win that fight overall.
Well, it seems like we're seeing the same thing from AJ over and over. We see the muscles come into the ring, see him trying to outpower everybody, but the boxing has not been increasing. He started doing some different things when he was working with Derek James, but other than that, he's still the same AJ that comes out there. He's still the same AJ that comes out, throw a lot of power shots, do not work behind that jab, and he does not use angles. And you cannot elevate your game when you're being the same person over and over and over. And so that was his demise. He was the same AJ that came to the fights, and he did all the trash talking beforehand. He tried to intimidate Dubois, but we saw how that went. Dubois wasn't having it, and he won in dramatic fashion.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, man.
All right, so let's take it on up a little notch. Let's talk about the Beterbiev and Bivol. So what do you guys take on that, since that was supposed to be the fight of all fights? How did you see that, Jose?
I saw that fight could have gone either way. The fight overall was an amazing fight. It was toe-to-toe, all rounds. There was, after the 4th round, I saw Bivol slow down a little bit, which I knew was going to happen if he went all gas in the first couple rounds. He was headhunting, and, you know, Beterbiev is one of those people that will wait. He's a patient fighter. He's going to wait, and in the last 10 seconds, once he hears that bell ring, in that last 10 seconds, he's going to give you his all to win that round. And that's what he did that fight. He gave it his all through every round, not just a couple, through every round. And, you know, like I said, Bivol just got gassed. He gassed himself out.
Yes, he did. And what was your take on it, DR?
Man, I agree with Jose on a lot of things, man. So they're called the championship rounds for a reason. Round number 11 and 12. Bivol took round number 7 off, and Beterbiev dominated round 11 and 12. I also think that what you were saying earlier about it's the mental pressure that Beterbiev places on you with this ability to cut the ring off, his ability to stay in your face, also be able to level change, and just when it's time for that bell to ring, he lets his hands go. That had to be the deciding factor of the fight. Overall, I think it was a fight of the year candidate for sure.
It was definitely a good fight. Bivol showed what he needed to do in that fight. He showed that he was supposed to be in that ring. He showed that the Canelo fight wasn't a fluke. And he showed that he's meant to be in there with the top fighters of this generation. So all in all, it was a very good fight. I thought Bivol won it. I thought he won it, or it could have been a draw. But I wasn't upset with the decision. So moving right along, let's talk about this Canelo Berlanga. You know, Canelo is the man, saying he's the moneymaker. Everybody wants to fight him. So what was your take on that Berlanga fight?
Oh, for sure, man. I think Canelo did what he was supposed to do. Got a really, really good knockdown in round 4. But I will tell you, Berlanga actually showed some wrinkles. Even though I think Canelo, he dominated the whole entire fight, I did not expect Berlanga to survive until round 12. I really didn't. So he showed another layer of grit, and he showed another layer of ability that can have him making a deeper run in a 168, potentially 175-pound division.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in this fight, Berlanga brought the best out of Canelo. Nobody expected that fight to go that way at all. Berlanga, obviously, he got knocked down, but he definitely gave Canelo, you know, the pressure that Canelo's not used to. You could see it a little bit. There was times where he was under pressure a little bit, but I think overall Canelo controlled it well. He did get tired a little bit towards the 8th round. He was already a little gassed up, but he still controlled himself to where he wasn't getting hit, he wasn't getting damaged, and obviously he dominated that fight overall. So
yes, I did see Canelo dominating that fight, but I saw it a little different than you guys did. I thought he carried Berlanga just like he did Jaime Munguia when they fought. I thought it was a little more of a Canelo carrying him. When he dropped him, I think he could have put his foot on the gas and actually finished it. Berlanga, he's easy to hit. He was still pretty novice compared to Canelo. I think Canelo had all the attributes he needed to disperse of him. But he let the fight go to the scorecards, and we did end up with a decision, but we did get to see Berlanga in there, a big puncher, young big puncher in there with Canelo. Now let's see where he moves from now. So that will end this segment. Let's take a break for our sponsors. We'll be back after the break.
For every action, there is an opposite or equal reaction. So consider well what you do in life. The eyes and ears are the gateway into your mind. So take control of what you allow to enter your mind and guard it well. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So eliminate negative habits and make positive changes in your life. Concentrate. Take aim and shoot for the stars and never settle for less.
Man, I want to give a shout out to BPMG Sports, man, for keeping updated with me and all this sport active illustration, you know, man. I want to thank everybody, the whole team, you know. They do a great job, you know.
Let me tell you something, BPMG says it like it is. That's what I'm talking about. They don't pull no punches, and that's what boxing needs. All this crap, they don't need. They need somebody like BPMG says it like it is.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Thank you, BPMG Sports. See y'all from Houston, Texas.
Welcome back to Knockouts Unlimited. Now, Jose, let's get into this fight with Erislandy, Lara, and Danny Garcia. We have two veterans here. Danny Garcia moving up in weight to challenge himself and Lara. What was your take on that fight?
that fight caught me by surprise. A little bit, just because I was expecting a little bit more from Danny Garcia in the aspect of, he is a good boxer that has been in the top ranking boxing division and
been battle tested,
and
right?
been battle tested, of course. But I was a little disappointed. I thought, with this time off that he had, he was in the gym a little bit more, maybe learned a couple new things, but he just went out there and was the same old Danny, the same old thing, and The outcome was,
I think you said a good thing there. Time off.
yeah, time off.
That time off played a big factor in Danny Garcia. What was your take on that?
Speaking of the time off, matter of fact, before I get into the time off, when I first heard of the fight happening with Lara and Garcia, I was like, you know what? This is going to be a really, really good one. Now, as it's going on, I'm realizing with that time off, man, what was Danny Garcia doing? He was promoting, right? He put a lot of time and energy into his fight promotional business. And I could tell that, I think it was maybe round 2 or 3, I was like, man, where's the grit? Where's the Danny Garcia that fought Matisse? Where's the Danny Garcia that fought and went to war with the Sean Porters and the Keith Thurmans? And it also made me realize that, man, you know what? Maybe it's not really in him anymore when he essentially quit.
Yep.
And I definitely agree with you on that. I think Danny Garcia had too many extracurricular things going on. I just didn't see the Danny Garcia that we've seen. And being that he is such an Iron Man inside that ring, had never been stopped, never been knocked down. I don't think I've ever seen him hurt. He took that and just rode off in the sunset. I think that was his last money grab for him, and now he can ride off. But I hate to see him go out that way. I really, really did. But moving right along, let's talk about Vergil Ortiz and Bohachuk. What did you think about that?
I said it was a firefight, man. A lot of people would sleep on Bohachuk. He is a dangerous fighter from Russia. Last few outings he had, I believe he was going through Ramadan at the time, so he didn't have the best performance. And I think that was something that, I think Vergil, I don't think he took the fight lightly at all. And you could tell because he was using a really good jab. He was making sure that he was changing his levels. With Bohachuk, he's just a kung fu fighter. He has extreme amounts of grit. He has extreme amounts of passion for the sport. And you could just tell that no matter what Vergil threw at him, he was just going to continue to keep coming forward. He knocked Vergil down twice. I thought that he edged the fight out. However, it didn't go that way, but it was still an entertaining fight.
Although you don't think Ortiz took him lightly, I think he went in there with the mentality that he was going to get into a firefight and that he would stop him early. I think Ortiz went in with that attitude, and that's the wrong attitude to go in as a fighter. I did not see any real adjustment. I saw little subtle adjustments from Ortiz, but I didn't see anything big that can make him or give him that extra edge in that Bohachuk fight.
Well, you know, going into this fight, I already knew that these fighters knew each other very well in the way that they fight because they have been sparring partners before. So with that being said, I thought this fight was going to be a lot more closer than what I expected from Vergil, because Vergil, being knocked down those 3 times, definitely, you know, brought out a different view for me and him and as a fighter that he is right now. Like you said, they gave him that decision. I wasn't really happy with that. I didn't feel like he deserved it. But at the end of the day, the name is what counts. And, you know, the money that's being brought in to those seats.
No, one thing that I definitely did not like with Ortiz in that fight, when he got hit with a big shot or when he got dropped, he was complaining. He complained about that. You know, it was either a trip or the guy, I think he complained that the first one wasn't a knockdown. As a fighter, you need to stay focused. You know, stay focused. Don't let that little thing take you off your game plan. We see it time and time and time again from these fighters. You're professionals now. You're away from the amateurs. You can't be worried about what the judge say. You have to stay focused at all times. Any little thing that's done in that ring can offset you. And I did see some of that offsetting Ortiz, but I did see him get back on track. So moving right along, let's talk about Murtazaliev and Tszyu. So how did you see that fight? Very interesting fight.
For sure, man. Before the fight happened, I was like, yo, this is going to be a really, really good one because we all know that Tim Tszyu is a real warrior. So is Murtazaliev. And with Tszyu, it was kind of heartbreaking to see him get caught and to see him not make adjustments. But at the same time, when have we ever really seen Tim Tszyu make adjustments?
Correct.
Right? He's a very, I don't want to say basic, but he relies on grit and strength and that power a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And when you're going against styles make fights.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because I think he he relishes on that Tszyu name.
For sure.
That Tszyu name because his dad had all the power. He started out having these knockouts, power, showing some power. Now he's relishing on that Tszyu name, and I think that's his downfall.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Tszyu, it was one of those things where no matter who he was going to be fighting in this fight, it was him that was going to be the most popular fighter in that ring. We underestimated his opponent. We didn't know what his opponent was bringing to the table. And now that we've seen that, we see Tim in a different aspect in this boxing community. We see him as not a tough opponent at this moment, just because, like you said, he is, you don't want to say basic, but he's by the book. Straight jabs and power. That's about it from Tim Tszyu. He doesn't really bring anything different to the table at the moment. And I don't expect him to see him fight anybody big at this moment. I feel like he needs to build his way back up, to those top-ranking fighters.
Thank you for that comment, guys. At this time, let's take a break for our sponsors. Be right back with you in a minute.
You cut me off, you son of a b****. Get the hell out that car. Get the hell out right now. I'm gonna tear you a new. Come on, get out. I'm gonna beat the. Hey, I didn't know it was you.
Have you ever tried to understand the impact of constant negative images when directed at a group of people? Well, some has dealt with this since the dawn of television, from one generation to the next. Start reaching out to those that are just like you, and while talking, make sure that everyone has a clear understanding that there is a propaganda campaign being pushed globally. All children are ready to start working towards a brighter future. It's time to come together and take control of your image. You can fascinate the world with your doctors, dedicated scientists, engineers, lawyers. We are a global people. Leaders working hard on the forefront of renewable energy, stretching our horizon as far as the imagination can take us, while remaining committed and dedicated to our children, letting them know that we love them dearly, knowing that someday they will follow the path we laid out for them. So why would someone want to bring this back? Knowing that we are the first builders of nations.
This is Samuel, the main event Clarkson, and you are watching Knockouts Unlimited, baby. Let's get it.
Welcome back up to Knockouts Unlimited. Oh, do we have some upcoming fights we want to discuss? Get everybody going, get everybody hyped about it. But that Canelo and Shockey Foster fight, we thought Shockey got robbed. So we do have that next one, the rematch coming up. Are you guys anticipating that?
Absolutely, man. I don't even like to call fights robberies too much, but that first fight was definitely a robbery. I think O'Shaquie's going to come just, if not even more sharper this time, and I can even see him making it more convincing why he should be the winner in this fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're right, Foster. He's going to come in full force, ready to battle, but I think he still should be very careful fighting Canelo. He is one of those fighters that will keep on pushing and, will bring everything to the ring. And he should be careful still.
All right, and then we also have Boots Ennis and Chakazian. What do you guys take on that fight happening?
I'm ready. I'm ready to see Boots Ennis fights. It's been a minute. It's been quite some time since I've seen him fight. I expect the best out of him. That's all I really have to say. I expect the best out of him.
Very rarely do I make predictions on fights. I think Boots is going to stop him anywhere between the 6th and the 8th round. He's going to cut the ring off better than what he did in the first fight, and he's going to sit down on them punches, attack him to the body early and often, and he's going to get Chuck Hazelin out of there.
There you go. Now we have to tune in to see if this prediction is correct.
We got to.
All right, moving on to the best. We say the best for last. We have the women's, the rematch of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. You know, they broke records. They're putting women's boxing on the map. They're going through the roof. What do you guys take on that? Let's start with you, Jose.
You know, I want Serrano to be much better in this fight than in the first one. I want her to go in there with more attitude, more positivity. You know, she is a little stand back fighter. I want her to get in there. I want her to push herself a little bit more in this fight, you know, to really show the women boxing division that she is the top rank at that division.
And what do you think about it?
I think it's going to be a great one. We talked about it earlier with Katie being a more volume puncher, Amanda being more of a power puncher, wanting to look for the big shots. I can see Amanda Serrano picking her shots a little bit more, landing not only the more effective shots, but even having more volume this fight. I see her winning it. Unanimous decision.
Well, we definitely have some good upcoming fights. But at the minute, let's throw it over to our co-host, Mr. Eric Jenkins, for Knockouts Rewind. Take it away, Eric.
Thanks, guys. Hello, I'm Eric Jenkins, and this is Knockouts Rewind. Today, we're going to have a special look at the man Cassius Clay. And no, don't know who that is, huh? How about Cassius X? And still not familiar? How about Muhammad Ali? I thought you would. Everybody knows that Muhammad Ali was the greatest of all times, and mostly we know that because he told us he was. I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the prettiest. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You cannot hit what you cannot see. Most of us are familiar with his work inside of the ring, but a lot of us are not familiar with what made him the greatest of all times. And today, we're going to take a look at that. Did you know? Did you know that when he was a child, his bike was stolen? And when he went looking for the guy to give him a black eye that stole his bike, he came across a police officer that tried to help him to curb his anger by putting him in a boxing gym. Now, this man is Joe Martin, okay? He didn't know at the time that Joe Martin had a boxing training school. And if it was not for that encounter, we would not know Muhammad Ali today. Muhammad Ali was a devout Muslim, and because of that, he divorced his first wife because she would not convert to Islam. And he was a student from the great Elijah Muhammad. And he used the knowledge that he had to make himself a better person. And in doing so, he became one of the greatest of all Muslims. And in that, he had contacts with people such as Gaddafi. And he went to Iraq, and he helped to release American hostages. 15 American hostages was released because of Muhammad Ali. And he also was banned from boxing because of his religious belief. He did not believe in murdering and killing innocent people. So when he was drafted to go to Vietnam, he refused to go, and because of that, he was facing 5 years in prison. He didn't serve those 5 years in prison, but he was banned from professional boxing for 3 whole years, and this is when he was in his prime. And he also was the most respected figure. So being the most respected figure of the Muslim world during that time, he was able to meet with Saddam Hussein in Iraq. He negotiated the release of 15 hostages and became one of the greatest political activists of all times. These are things that most people just do not know. He was very pro-black, and he did a lot in the communities to help advance his people. He was very passionate. In fact, even though he was pro-black, he has Irish roots.
Most people didn't know that. That's a fact that most people didn't know. He was very generous, a philanthropist. He was great, an activist. Of all American boxers, known as the greatest, and that's why he was the greatest, because he was great inside the ring and out. In fact, Muhammad Ali, most people didn't know this, was able to save a man from committing suicide. Yes, you heard it. He went up to the Twin Tower building and he was able to talk that man out of jumping out of the window. And not only did he talk him out of committing suicide, he actually helped that man to get an education, to get on his feet. This is the kind of person that he was. He got his life together, and this man is grateful that he met Muhammad Ali and that Muhammad Ali was a great man as he was. Because he did a lot to maintain peace around his community and all around the United States of America, President George Bush gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Did you know that? He received that because of his peace efforts. And a lot of people didn't know this, that he was a 2-time Grammy nominee, okay? Recording artist and actor. He did records and he also did acting. In 1966, he created his own promotion company. And that promotion company is still around today. And also, in promoting his fights, he had fights with football players. He had fights with martial arts individuals and also professional wrestlers. Now, this was before we had the UFC, so yes, he was responsible for mixed martial arts that we see today in UFC. And he was the best trash talker of all time. He was renowned for that in the ring, and they're still doing that today. He had his name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2002, but he refused to put it on the ground because he said he didn't want Muhammad's name walked on. And let me tell you, the greatest thing about this man, of all the things he did outside of the ring, he was a graceful man, a talented man. And he was asked, what do you want the world to know about you when you're no longer here? And he thought about it and he says, you know, gracefully, he was a graceful, brilliant individual. And he said, you know what? I want people to understand about a few cups of love. He says, and you get that few cups of love and you put a pinch of generosity and a pint of kindness. And he says, I want you to get a quart of laughter. And then I want you to get a pinch of concern. Then I want you to mix it well with willingness and happiness. And then I want you to put a little bit of faith, and I want you to stir that real good and spread it around in your lifespan to every person you meet. That is why Muhammad Ali was the greatest of all times. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Eric. That was a nice segment talking about Muhammad Ali. We all love to hear about Ali, so that is very interesting. We love the details you gave us. Now that concludes our show. Another fine episode of Knockouts Unlimited. Until next time, I'm your host, Joshua Burns.
I'm your host, D.R. Bryant.
And I'm your host, Jose Romero.
This episode of Knockouts Unlimited was brought to you by the Blue Planet Media Group.